Hello everybody, Ron Wildman in on Middle Georgia Spotlight. Urban fire departments have a lot of chiefs, district level and various others, but we got the big chief today, Chief Marvin Riggins of Macon-Bibb Fire Department.
How are you, sir?
Retiring after 41 years?
41 years.
Started in 1979.
79, I did.
What was it like in that area? Were there very many black firefighters on the force then?
You know, it was transitioning. It was transitioning actually when I came on. I was 18 years of age, and in my group that I came on with, there was actually 4 of 7 people in that training class. Was 4 African Americans in that group.
How did it work out for you?
You know, it's been quite a journey. It's been a journey for me, and it's been great for me. I can say that working with Chief Henson and Chief Hartley and the fire department in this community of Macon-Bibb, it's been quite a pleasure for me because this is home. It feels like home to me, and I've been received well. Even from my initial interview with Chief Henson, I was received well at that point in time, and I had the opportunity to work with some great firefighters over the years, and it's been a great journey. It truly has been a blessing to me and for my family here.
Well, you're a native of Twiggs County. When you graduated from high school, what prompted you to look to the fire department, a fire department?
You know, it started, like I say, in the summer of 1979, and graduated in like May, June that year, and was wanting, what do you do in the summertime to transition to the fall? Do you're going to go to school the fall, or you get a job, or what are you going to do at this point in time? And so, my friend John Albert and I said, well, let's just see what we can apply to do. And he really wanted to go to the Navy is where he wanted to go, and we went and looked. Applied for fire department. Fire department called me, and I had an interview with Chief Henson. Of course, my brother at the time was a firefighter as well for Macon-Bibb, so that probably helped me. And so having that interview with Chief Henson, and I started in October. October 15th was my start date. In 1979. So, and since that day, I have not looked back. It's been just a true blessing to me.
Do you remember your first real fire?
You know, those are some things that you do remember. Unfortunately, we had, I was assigned to one of the busiest stations in the city when I came out of training initially, Engine 8, and we was making a lot of fire. Is that the one
out by the mall?
Out by the mall. And of course, at that time, that was Macon's hub. It was transitioning there. And so busy. We had lots of house fires. And unfortunately, it was not far into my career. I had my first fire fatality was there. Had that out in the Lizella area, which we were responding to from Macon Mall, and some twin kids in that fire. So I do remember that. That was pretty horrific for me.
I covered a lot of fires. I was at Channel 13 at the time, and then moved over to Channel 24 as news director. And it seemed like back in those years we had more bigger fires than we do. Would that be because of beefing up the fire prevention unit?
I think as over the years we've transitioned to putting more emphasis on the way structures are built and the sprinkler systems inside these and the fire codes and the inspection systems that we go through now, the fire alarm systems. That's been just a real blessing now, because the fire alarm systems, those alarm systems go off ahead of time, or they go off early, which gives us a head start. And when we get to a lot of fires that are still very incipient or very small in nature, and we're able to keep them from becoming a gargantuous fire. And so that has helped us significantly. So the fire prevention aspects of things has been a blessing to us as a firefighter and to our community, because it has saved a lot of property.
We had a method of fighting fires too. As an example, I was over there on Shirling Drive, and a fire truck goes by me. Well, I followed him around over to an apartment complex off Kitchens Road. Got over there, flames were coming through the windows and everything. And so I'm getting my camera out of the car. I swear that fireman pulled that hose out, went into that house, and by the time I got my camera loaded and turned around, there were no flames.
Yeah.
He went right to the source.
Right to the source. And I have to, a lot of that goes back to our training, training division. We always have had a very aggressive training division, and and aggressive firefighters too. very aggressive as far as interior attack in fires and try and get to the seat of the fire. That's been very significant to us and for us. And I think that over time, we've been very, very good at finding the seat of the fire and snuffing it out very early on to keep it from becoming a very, very large fire. But the training aspects of it has done us well, and also becoming a Class 1 fire department has been one of the things that keeps that response time very, very good as well. One of the factors that plays into being a very efficient fire department is how well is the fire department equipped. And thankfully, we've had, Chief Henson was our fire chief, and he was the one who had the foresight to want this department to become a Class 1 fire department. And under his direction, his administration, we became a Class 1 fire department in 1983-84 when we first became, and that was very odd, very rare for it to happen. In fact, we were the 6th in the United States to acquire that title, and the only one in Georgia at the time. And so, but that aided that because we had to be very efficient. We out of the stations very quickly, inside of 60 seconds, getting out of the station, getting to the call. The 911 center was very efficient in taking the call and not holding it, moving that call out. So all of those things played into our success, if you will, in being able to mitigate fire and emergencies as quickly as we have been.
The day I was talking about proved that, because they were there lickety split and got right in. You can't do that at every fire if you're later, because a lot of things are burning then.
Right. And and now, because of technology, the way furniture and other products are designed and made, their flammability is just really fast. Their ignition points are very low, and so they burn very quickly. And so if we're delayed in our response time, it's just going to go and grow, because it'll double itself inside of every sequence. Once it starts, it'll double itself in size every 60 seconds. And so once that occurs, it makes it very difficult for us. So fire alarm systems is very important to us. The sprinkler systems are very important to us if that's in place. And also the way that the fire department itself is modeled. The model that we have here in our community is really one that people really come to look at. How is it arranged? How is it set up? Because we are so blessed here in Middle Georgia to have a water system that is just outstanding. We really are. Not only does water taste good, but we have water that is under the ground, under the infrastructure. Water in Bibb County is better than I've seen in this state. And then the fire department on top of that, which is this community supports its fire department very, very well with equipment and personnel, and our communication system is very efficient and effective. So putting those things together, we've been able to attain a Class 1 fire department. We was a Class 1 fire department in the city for many, many years, from '84 up until 2018. We merged. When we merged and when we got reevaluated, and we had to be reevaluated as a whole, as a Bibb County as a whole. And so now we are a Class 1 fire department countywide, which is really a remarkable thing.
The time of year right now, speaking of fire, is a bad time of year usually for fire departments, the holiday season. What should we look out for this time of year?
One of the things that we like to think about is that because it's holiday season, lights, Christmas trees, cooking a lot.
Cold weather.
Heaters, space heaters particularly, also gas coming back on, all those things are coming back on, your lighting furnaces that hadn't been lit in, 8 months or so. We like to make sure, ask our citizens if they would get those things tested, turn them on, try them out before it gets exceptionally cold. Don't wait until it gets really, really cold to just bring them out and dust them off, because they've collected dust over the last several months. And so you want to bring those out and just dust them off, blow them off, take them outside if you have to, blow them off, and just check them out and make sure they're going to work like they should. Because when it gets cold, then you're going to need it, and then it's going to be in a bad spot for it to be testing it out and it not work. So when you're putting things around them, please don't put anything that's within 3 feet of an open space heater. Don't put a flammable stuff like curtains and bedding and clothing and things of this nature that's close to them. We ask if you don't do those kinds of things. We ask that you please test and check your smoke detector. Please test it out to make sure it's functioning like it should, it's located like it should be. And if you have gas products, get a gas detector, a CO detector, and plug it up in your home, because that's going to help you. It detects if you have a gas leak, and if it picks up the right level, which is 35 parts per million, means something to us, but it'll go off when it reaches that level to alert you to know that something must be leaking here. Call the fire department, we'll check it out for you, and we'll get with the gas department to try and find that leak.
That's what I was going to ask you. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, your people are available 24/7, aren't they? We
are. The numbers to the battalion chief officers are listed in the phone book, or you can just dial it up, pull it up on the web, and also, but you can call our Fire Prevention Bureau, which is also our community risk reduction division. And when we look at that from a different perspective, to say, it's been fire prevention, true, but it's also community risk. And that's one of the things that going forward that we like to look at. We will come and do a home inspection if you like for us to do that. We will come out and tell you about things that really look beautiful, like pine straw and things of this nature. Pine straw is actually a risk because it's dry for one thing, it's flammable for another. It looks good, but when you put that up against your house, that's probably could very well be made of vinyl siding or a flammable material. Then it becomes a risk because someone flips a cigarette or somehow it catches fire, it's going to burn that. So you may want to think about changing that type of shrubbery into something that is non-flammable. And those are the kinds of things that our people are trained to look at and evaluate for you along with you, just to give you some ideas on how to be safer.
This being the Christmas season, trees, live trees, are they a danger?
As beautiful as they are, and they inherently is not a danger, but if you keep it watered. Now, if you don't keep it watered, it becomes a hazard because it's going to dry out and it becomes brittle. When it becomes brittle, it becomes a highly flammable. If something sparks it, it can just be like a torch on a dried out cedar tree. So you really want to try and water them if you're going to get them, because they are beautiful. They're beautiful. They smell good in the home. They make it feel festive and the holiday-like, but we ask you to please make sure you keep it watered throughout the holiday season, because if it doesn't, the lights add to the heat of it. The home, inside of the home, has this dried air in which allows for it to dry itself out, and then it becomes a hazard to you.
These modern lights are cool burning, but you go back a few years, back when you started, they were hot stuff on a tree.
Absolutely.
Plus a lot of the wiring wasn't as good as it is today.
Absolutely, and that's an excellent point, Ron. We ask that if you would please make sure that you don't get lights that aren't UL tested. When you're buying lights, things, look on the box, make sure it's got a UL test on it. If it's got a UL test on it, it's going to be, it's a good light, it's rated well. And we ask also that when you're plugging into your Christmas lights, don't use the little brown cords, the little really convenient cords, you find them everywhere, but they are lightweight. And they're not designed to really handle a full load, even though the LED lights don't pull as much energy as the older ones did. But touch the cord. Whatever cord you use, once it's plugged in, just hold it for a minute. Just hold it in your hands and just see if it warms up. Because if it gets warm to your hand, it's pulling too much energy. It's going to be dangerous. It's going to be a detriment if you leave it there.
What about those strips where you can put numerous plugs in?
We actually do the same thing with those. Please get one that has a circuit breaker on it. If it doesn't have a circuit breaker on it, I would advise not to get it. Get the one with the circuit breaker so that it actually cuts itself off. If it overload, it won't let itself overload. It'll actually cut itself off. And so we actually, if you do that, that will prevent a lot of harm and hurt, danger that could come to you. Yeah. So we actually, if that will occur.
When you started out in '79 and now, is there much difference? I know you have different techniques and training, but the average fireman out there, has his job changed much?
It has. Over time, Ron, we have evolved into much more than firefighting because our community has asked us to do more than fight fire. And so the skill set that the firefighter brings now is far different than it was 40 years ago when I first started. The The firefighter, is hazardous material trained. We have hazardous material technicians, we have operators, we have technician level hazardous material people. We have firefighters that are search and rescue trained, that, if something were to collapse or in embankments and this, that, we have people who are trained and certified to that level to safely mitigate those types of emergencies. We have water rescue personnel. So all the drowning situations that will occur in not only in Bibb County, but if it touches Bibb County, we are part of that water rescue team that will respond to those types of emergencies. High angle rescues on top of high buildings, power lines, these types of things. Our people are certified to mitigate those types of emergencies, as well as still we're certified firefighter 1s and firefighter 2s. We also have over half of our responses now are emergency medical calls. The firefighters, they're trained to that national certified emergency medical technicians because our community has a need, and who better than us to respond, because there's a need here in our community and our community respects us. We love our community. We can bring that skill set to our citizens and make them feel good about it.
I don't know what the stats are, but I imagine you do more of that than fight fires.
It's actually about 65 to 35. It's actually about that high of a level in which EMS side is our response factors. But we have response times that are really, under that 4-minute window, 4 minutes or less in most places in Bibb County. And so we can make the difference between life and death in that short window of time. So we can factor in greatly into the way the emergency medical response system goes.
You stabilize, and the ambulance folks comes in.
Absolutely.
And it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And our people, we on board, 90% of our responding fire apparatuses are extrication equipment. That means that we can, wrecks and anything that someone is entrapped in, we have the ability to dislodge them from that.
Jaws of life.
Jaws of life. Yeah, works very, very well. They still work for us, and now they're even smaller and more compact, but yet are able to do efficiently and effective work on getting into most car materials. Of course, the Buicks that you and I knew 40 years ago aren't built that way today, and so it doesn't require as strong, healthy, big, beefy equipment like it used to. So now we have the lighter weight equipment that are much more nimble, can be used easier, they can manipulate themselves much easier, but they work very well when you're combating the materials that are out there now as far as the way cars and trucks are built these days.
Do we dare look ahead? What do you see in the future for firefighting? The same or expanding even more so?
I think it's going to expand even more so. I think that drone technology is going to help us out. I think that the aerial type of activity, I was just meeting with some of our officers a week or so ago, looking at the probabilities of how do we get to where we can use this, because on large commercial structures, you can't see all the way around them very easily. This technology is going to help us so we can go over the top. That image can be transmitted back down to the ground. We can go around. We can look for areas around them. Also a part of our search and rescue team. When we're looking for someone, we can navigate a drone device in areas that it would take us a lot longer to go and cover that much ground space. And so I look for changes to come.
Many a fireman's been injured or killed going into a building, feeling their way through. They got those glasses now.
The thermal imaging cameras. The TICs, as we call them, the thermal imaging cameras. Great technology, because it allows us to be able to go in and actually see images that are heat driven, heat seekers basically, and that you're absolutely right, allows us to see virtually through smoke. That with the natural eye, you'd never be able to see that. So that technology is here. We have some of that technology here. It's evolving in and of itself, in that the technology is not, it's going to go from being handheld to being worn. And so now I don't have to take away my physical hand skill, because my eyes now have this technology right in front of me. So that technology is evolving right as we speak.
So you can keep the hose right there.
Keep the hose right there, and you can seek and search much faster and much more efficiently.
Now, the fire department, I was getting ready to say, I grew up with Chief Henson like you did, and it seemed like every dirty job that was out there, he would volunteer you guys for.
Well, you know, we are those
Necessary
people,
jobs, by the way.
Necessary jobs. We're those folk who, when in doubt, you know, give us a call. You know, we are all about the community. We love this community. We are part of it, and we make it a part of the fabric of it. So when you think of things going on good and necessary for this community, think about the fire department. We are that agency that are multi-talented. We have people who have skill sets that are just, you know, very broad. And so when we go and seek something out and size it up, you know, we can probably make a difference.
Charitable efforts in the town. The fire department's always involved. The big one I like in particular is the pink pancake breakfast at the Cherry Blossom Festival.
Yes. Yes.
What does that involve?
You know, Ron, again, it goes back to Chief Henson. When this originally started, was one of his brainstorms as to how can we impact this festival, because the festival is a big deal for our community, and so we want to be a part of that because it's a good thing, it's a good part. Plus, it gives us an opportunity for one of our charitable organizations, which is the American Cancer Society. It's a chance for us to impact them as well. And so we have these wonderful cookers that firefighters made, as big as this table, and round just like it is.
And it turns
around so you can stand in that one spot and flip the pancakes. And that has been a wonderful success.
You got a bunch of those too.
We do. We've grown from where we started off with a couple of them. Now we have at least 6 of them that we deploy. And there's a group of firefighters there that's there at like 4 in the morning. And by 7 a.m. when the line opens for that, we have a wonderful line there, and they're ready to serve breakfast up, and they're pretty in pink, right in the middle of the Cherry Blossom Festival. So it's really, really community spirit driven, and it's a great cause for the American Heart Association, Cancer Society.
The spirit on those days is simply wonderful and reflect what the Cherry Blossom Festival is to our community. Last year we had to cancel, or this year early we had to cancel, but 2021 we don't know yet, do we?
We don't know yet. We still got our fingers crossed, and we hope that we're able to do the festival, and we hope we're able to do the Cherry Blossom, the pink pancake breakfast as well. So we look forward to it. If the festival is on, we'll be there.
You talked about the fire department and their image. First of all, we need to support it monetarily through our mayor and commission. Plus, the general public just loves our fire department.
You know, and I'm very grateful to that. I'm very grateful for our city leaders, our government leaders. They have supported the fire department in wanting to maintain the fact it is a Class 1 fire department. And we do. I think we function as a very efficient and very effective in keeping our costs down. I'm very thankful to them for going forward in this next year, this pay scale that's coming out in this next year to help keep our good firefighters here and retain even more. So I'm very grateful for our leadership for doing that, and thanks to our community for supporting us in that endeavor. The SPLOST has been a very, very great tool for us to use. You know, we've acquired, 4 new fire stations in the last 6 years, and so we've been able to deploy those, put those in, replace some of the ones that needed to have been relocated and replaced. Futuristically, there's a strategic plan to replace some of the others that are there that basically sprawl has caused them to be in a bad location. There was once in a great location, but because growth, now we're not so good of a location, almost dangerous in some cases. So we're looking to relocate some, rebuild some, remodel some going forward as far as our SPLOS plan is concerned. The equipment, we have a capital plan that is there to keep overturning our equipment, because our equipment is very big, it's very expensive and arduous equipment. So thanks to our community and our government leaders for supporting us in that endeavor too, so we can continue to provide that top level service to our citizens.
You like to have a staff of a lot of veteran firefighters, but eventually they retire and you have to bring in new people. What's the situation there? Are they coming in as you would want them to, or do we have a difficulty getting firefighters?
Well, ironically, it's not as easy as it once was. I think for the last few years before COVID, our economy was doing very well, which is a good thing, but it took away from our drawing pool, if you will, for us being able to attract those people to come into the fire service now because they have more options out there. Well, I hope that that's going to change. I think the pay scale is going to help us out with that as far as being able to attract young firefighters or firefighters to Macon Bibb and to retain those ones that we have because we were very fortunate in 2015 when we had the merger, if you will, when we consolidated governments, and we lost an enormous amount of experience in 2015 when we consolidated, and so we're still recovering from that, if you will. So we still have some vacancies. We're still recruiting, looking for young firefighters, and hopefully that's going to change for us going forward.
That merger and early retirement really hit you guys hard. How did you handle that? What did you do?
You know, that was unprecedented in my tenure, and we had to rethink the way we did business on a day-to-day basis. You know, we had never had our commanding officers to the battalion chief level. I had to make lieutenants to be that level. So I had to bring, because we lost 98% of our command staff went up on that early out, and I lost about 24 of 29 captains, which is a lot of experience. We lost some of the lieutenants in that early out process. So we had a lot of experience to be lost at one time, which was just horrendous for us. So we had to restructure, had to relook at it, and those that were left had to promote some of the ones that were left to some higher levels, and you know, we had to promote them probably sooner than they would have been under a normal circumstance. And experience does matter when you start putting people's lives on the line, and these people are directing them. The system that we have, it takes time for them to groom them and maturate them the way that we feel like they should be when they reach those levels, such as captains. You know, we have 10, 11-year captains, which is unheard of in Macon Bibb, and so but we have some great guys, very smart people, very good firefighters, and so I think they've done a Herculean job for us since that time. They've grown very nicely. I think they've matured very nicely in their roles. So I'm very proud of where they are now, and I think that going forward, the organization is set very sturdy. It's very sturdy at this point in time, and I think the maturity level is very good to go into the future.
So as you leave this month, you're leaving them in good hands?
I feel certain. I feel very good that it's in good hands. Have good leadership in place, have good chief officers in place, good captains, lieutenants, and firefighters. Sergeants are coming along very nicely. So I think it's in good hands. I truly do. I believe that. I'll rest easy knowing that.
Got about a minute left. What do you plan to be doing the rest of your life?
Well, for so long, well, I graduated, like we started this off, and 3 months later I was in the fire department, and that has been just a wonderful journey for me, and I've been busy for 40 years straight, and so it's going to be a change for me. But I really learned from the fire department, thanks to the fire department, I learned to love teaching. I love teaching and sharing information and learning that. So I think I want to do some of that as I go forward, teaching some young folks, about life, whether it be in some science matter or at some college level. I think that I'll enjoy doing that.
You going to travel any?
Well, we'll have to see how COVID treats us, but
that's
I
right.
think
We
so.
gotta deal with
I
that
think so.
first.
Yeah, I think so. It just depends on what Ann wants to do. If she wants to travel some, then we'll do that. But I'm one of these people who just love. I'm not a person who likes to get away from home for long periods of time. So I don't see going on long vacations.
Well, you
anywhere.
didn't get far from Twiggs County, did you?
This is true. This is true. That's my roots. That's home. I love it. I'm so grateful for all those folks who have a thumbprint on me.
Well, Chief, I can easily say this. Macon loves you. You've done a wonderful job for us, and much luck in the future.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate that. And thanks, Macon Bibb, for all that you've done for me and my family over the years. I am truly, truly blessed, humbled, and grateful.
We're out of time, folks. Thanks for joining us here today on the Middle Georgia Spotlight. I'm Ron Wildman at WMUB TV.